When I was a little girl, my family moved into an old house in a rural area of Marion County, West Virginia. It was a 100-year-old two-story house constructed of wood and painted white. There were also a couple of secret passageways around the house, such as one that led from my bedroom closet to the kitchen. I always had a creepy feeling about this house, a malevolent feeling that made me feel like it didn't want me there. My parents never experienced anything, but I swear that my light would flicker at night and I could hear scratching noises in my room. So far, nothing that couldn't have a logical explanation behind it. Then, one night, something happened, and I swear this is the honest-to-God truth. My friends and I were playing in my upstairs bedroom. Without any warning, my closet doors suddenly swung open. A little black shadow on two legs ran out of the closet, across the room, and disappeared through the bedroom wall. My friends and I freaked out and ran downstairs to tell my parents. Of course, they didn't believe me or the other kids, but I swear it was real. We all saw it. A short time later, my little sister was riding her tricycle up in the attic. Why, I don't know. My mom and I were downstairs doing chores when we suddenly heard a tumbling crash coming from the stairs leading to the attic. We found my little sister at the bottom of the stairs. She had landed in a laundry basket that my mom had just placed there. I believe that if that laundry basket hadn't been there at that time, my sister could have been hurt or killed. My sister said that someone pushed her down the stairs. Years later, after my family had finally moved out of the house, I decided to research its history. I discovered that the house had previously been owned by an old man who lived alone. His body was discovered in what would later be my bedroom closet. He had hanged himself. I still get chills thinking about this story.
Back in the summer of 08 and 09, my friends and I went on a spree of ghost hunting, which was mostly just urban exploring empty buildings at 2 a.m. The only time I ever had any experiences was at the Byrd Park Pump House. It was a group of 5 of us, and we would park up at the area near the Carillon and would walk down the street to the front of Pump House Park. The first experience I had there was outside the pump house on the small bridge that goes over the smaller canal. As my friends and I were walking across the bridge, we distinctly remember hearing rustling in the leaves behind us, followed by a voice saying hello, which all of us heard very clearly. The voice was distinctly an older gentleman with a very deep voice. It startled us so bad we sprinted out of the woods to the main street, maybe 50, 100 yards up the path before turning around and seeing that there was no one there or behind us. It absolutely could have been someone actually there, but we never saw anyone, and they would have needed to be very close for all of us to hear them the way we did. We decided it was best to just leave and walk back to the vehicles. A few weeks later, we had decided to go back and try to get inside the building. We noticed there was an open window where it had been boarded up a few weeks prior. It was far enough off the ground that it required a little boost from a friend, but we all ended up making it inside. The bottom floor of the pump house used to hold the equipment that pumped water to Byrd Park Reservoir. The equipment has been removed now, and it's basically a giant open room with some large pipes sticking out of the wall. It's pretty creepy looking during the day, but even more so at night. There is a very old rusted spiral staircase at one end and a wooden staircase on the other end that leads up a narrow corridor to a grand open ballroom on the second floor. The ballroom was used in the late 1800s to early 1900s by Richmond's wealthy as a place to enjoy a summer's evening dancing and socializing. When I reached the top of the wooden stairs, I ventured out into the middle of the ballroom. I was under the impression that I was now walking towards the middle of the ballroom with one of my friends. While I am walking, I feel a double tap on my shoulder and a swift breeze/movement of my shirt, like someone dragging their hand down the back of a loose t-shirt, just far enough away to not put pressure on the skin. Believing one of my friends had tapped me, I said, "What's up?" And a pale girl in her late teens was pinching my shirt. She was wearing a dress that looks like something you would wear on prom night. I screamed so hard and she disappeared right there. I ran up back to my friends who heard me scream. They actually had stayed back with the rest of our group at the main entrance of the ballroom, nearly 50 feet away. I didn't realize they had stopped to take a couple photos at the entrance. I decided I had enough and was ready to get out of there. I went back to the group and we all decided it was time to leave. On the way out, we heard footsteps above us in the ballroom, and felt a cold spot at the bottom of the stairs. Those were the two weird experiences that I had on our ghost hunts. My friends did experience other things at other places, but I never did. They did a few more ghost hunts that summer, but I never went with them again. And then we all said our goodbyes as we all shipped off for college that fall. I used to love ghost hunts, but that experience scarred me for life.
Back in December 2012, I joined the Navy. By March 2014, I moved from a technical school in Great Lakes, Illinois, to another in Virginia Beach, Virginia. At first, I stayed at the Navy Gateway, which was basically a hotel with single twin beds. It was nice since I was hardly ever in my room, always out on the pier or hanging with friends. A few months in, I got orders to move to an older barracks, Building 508. It was one of the oldest buildings on base, but the rooms were bigger, with more shelves and closets. The carpets and furniture were older, and they didn't provide sheets or daily cleaning, but I liked the idea of decorating my space. I even got a cable company to install digital cable and Wi-Fi. Each unit had 2 bedrooms with a shared common area. The first day I moved in, the door to room 320A was closed. There were signs someone was staying there: a wet towel, moisture in the sink, and a voice from the other room. I spent the afternoon moving my stuff from the Gateway to 508. On my 4th trip, I noticed my door, which I had propped open, was shut and latched. Annoyed, I went to get a new key card. The staff told me 320A was unoccupied. We checked, and sure enough, it was empty, like it was ready for a new resident. This freaked me out, but I shrugged it off. As fall came, I loved keeping my window open at night to let in the cool air. One really cold night, I was woken by 3 quick, friendly knocks on my bedroom door. I opened the door, but no one was there. The knocks continued every time I got back in bed. At first, I didn't think it could be a ghost, but every time I closed the window, the knocking stopped. It seemed like the ghost might have been cold. Over the months, I tested this theory. The knocks always happened with the window open and stopped when it was shut. My friends were freaked out by it, and so was I. One day, while I was upset and talking to my dad on the phone, I mentioned the ghost. The room got instantly colder. Realizing the ghost might be listening, I apologized, saying, "I know you're here." The temperature went back to normal, and the light that hadn't worked for months suddenly turned on brightly. These experiences convinced me that spirits are real, and not all of them are bad, but it still terrified me. Thankfully, a couple of months later, I was relocated to another building. It was one of the creepiest experiences I had in my career.
I hope you found these stories as chilling and unsettling as I did. It's a stark reminder that sometimes reality can be stranger and more frightening than fiction. If you enjoyed these tales of suspense, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-chilling content. This is your host, Nicholas Black. Until next time.